al-Qaeda is double-crossing NATO and Obama and attacking Jordan and Kurdistan when they're not supposed to in the deal they have with the Pentagon. That right there, though, that our own government's been arming al-Qaeda all over the Middle East for 4 years publicly, they should all be going to prison. But it's the attempt now to say we're going to fight the rebels by arming the rebels when 90+% of the rebels, I was saying 65, Colonel Schaefer said no, from classified documents. I can't say the exact number. It's way higher than that. And then I made some phone calls and things, and they say it's about 95%, which makes sense. I mean, that's who's out there fighting. That's what's on all the videos. That's who the groups are. That's what the Muslim Brotherhood is a front for them. Saudi Arabia is involved. And this is a big deal because if they let them establish a state, they will try to attack Western targets. And the establishment will then use that to take our freedoms. That's why this is such a big deal. 13 years later, on the anniversary of 9/11, on the eve of it, last night, Obama says, Islamic State is not Islamic. We will have no boots on the ground, but we're going to start bombing them wherever they are. That's an excuse to attack any country they want. In Africa, you name it, where these people they funded and turned loose are running around. That is such an evil, beyond Machiavellian strategy. And I don't see how they're going to get away with it. Here's the toll-free number, 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. This story is up on drudgereport.com. It originates from Infowars.com. Video, TSA demands to conduct full-body pat-down on man after his plane already landed. And I'll get to this in the fourth hour today because I've got Jerome Corsi coming up in some of your phone calls. Dr. Corsi, who is the expert on what's happening and who predicted everything now unfolding. 2 years ago, he said Obama's funding some secret jihad takeover the Middle East and Africa, and then he's going to use the attacks to take freedom here. And I was just like, man, this is just too much. Of course, he worked in the State Department and other classified areas. There's a lot more to Jerome Corsi than meets the eye, I'll just say that. We're going to be talking to him coming up to get his breakdown on all this. But I could just feel in my gut, this is the start of something big. It's a proxy war against Russia, and I just don't want to destroy the planet. And even the London Telegraph has an article out today, the West faced the Russian wolf and the West backed down. I'm paraphrasing the headline, but I read it this morning. It's here in the stack. There it is. It's time to back away from the Russian wolf. Russia's President Vladimir Putin won't be thwarted by NATO or economic sanctions, and his aim of a neutral Ukraine is acceptable. And then it goes on to say we went and faced the wolf and had to back down. And here's that news today. Russia successfully tests nuclear missile, more planned, Navy chief, Reuters. AP, Russian gas supplies to Poland drop further. Deliveries have dropped through the pipes 45%. They sell the cheapest gas in the world. Western oil companies have openly said they want to cut off their gas because they could then gouge Europe. I mean, Russia's allowed to sell their gas, folks. Just like we're allowed to have coal power plants. Just like we're allowed to have businesses and have kids and raise them like we want. The globalists want to run everybody's life. They're as bad as it gets. They're the ones that run America, not the Russians. I would hate the Russians if they tried 1/10 of what the globalists do. Can you imagine if the Russians were trying to take our guns and open our borders and saying our kids didn't belong to us? Imagine if on Russian TV they were saying, kids belong to the state, not their parents, like MSNBC, in official promo. When you go, man, those Russians are evil. Our leadership is a bunch of criminals. That's an understatement. Ugh, I'm sick of it. That's why people are starting to freak out. Russia is not going to back down, folks. It's not going to happen. The Russians are double stubborn, beyond a mule. You could call it the Russian Bubba effect. The more you push them, the more they dig in. They don't quit drinking vodka and don't get anything done until you mess with them. There's like an anthill comes out. They'll develop a bunch of secret weapons and stuff. Russians are smart, folks. They got very high IQs, some of the highest in the world. And the globalists just think they're like Syria or Iraq. They can just kick them around all day and try to overthrow them with George Soros, the Nazi collaborator. By the way, the Russians are scared of us. They know how crazy our leaders are. They are completely freaked out building bunkers. And again, I'm not lionizing the Russian predatory state. Oh, I got a bunch of other news. I want to go to your phone calls right now. There are no boots on the ground. There will be no boots on the ground when he ordered 1,000 sent there 2 weeks ago and 400, got AP right here, 475 today. Embedded with the rebels. No boots on the ground. You didn't build your business. Obamacare cuts your price. It's all lies. It's all lies. Bloomberg came out a few months ago and said, I'm the biggest Second Amendment supporter in the world. I don't want to take your guns. They banned guns in New York City. He wants a gun ban. They're liars. But I don't understand why they lie so much. What is the point of it? Why do we put up with it? They have a method to this to just shut us down, to condition us to where we'll put up with anything. They're getting us ready for something big. That's why I'm getting freaked out here. They're acting like they don't care how bad they are, that nothing can stop them. And I don't know if that's because they're crazy completely and out of their minds, like crazy people I've known in business and life, or whether they got some trick up their sleeve, or both. I mean, it's just so dangerous, people. All the top analysts say the world is in the most dangerous position now it's ever been in. And you can feel it. Not just intellectually or militarily or geopolitically look at it. You can feel it. And it's because we got demons in charge. And it's a lot bigger than Obama. Let's go to Patrick in Kentucky. You're on the air. Go ahead. Hey, Patrick, I don't get any audio from you. You going to talk to us, brother?
Yeah, so I was going to talk about the GCHQ program, Squeaky Dolphin.
Yeah, that's the British version of the NSA. Yep.
Yep. And then in the NSA, they've got contact chaining where they can go 3 hops to see communications amongst people. So between those 2 programs, they can understand
They know the entire network of all the jihadi groups because they run most of them. Yes, they know. They could have stopped 9/11, all of this stuff. It's pure bull. Is that what you're getting at?
They also know the opinions of the general public. So if this seems like a flimsy case for war, they have their finger on the pulse of the planet, and they know exactly how to proceed, what messaging to use in order to achieve their end goals.
That's right. That's the key to the NSA Crystal Ball Palantir program. And I don't mean that in the Palantir NSA program itself, even though it's Palantir, the pun is intended. It's a literal Palantir because they can then practice their lies and see what's working. And it's the equivalent of missile guidance in a Sidewinder versus a Welsh longbow for their lies. They now have the nuclear option of lies. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, exactly. They have, when people talk about metadata and that they downplay that as it's not important, you can actually map out the interactions of people all over the planet, and you know exactly sentiment and opinions, likes, dislikes, all of that is aggregated, and it's available in simple dashboard formats so that executives can see exactly how their messaging is going, how people are reacting. And if it seems like this is a half-baked strategy, it might be because it is, because they just have to improvise and react to what their analysts tell them is the attitude.
I was about to say, just because 60% of the American people are in a coma doesn't mean they can start a nuclear war with Russia. It doesn't suspend the laws of physics. It doesn't mean that morally it will come out later that they funded al-Qaeda. They're not going to get away with this new lie, and they lose more credibility each time they do this. So if they're looking at the algorithms currently, they could see the bigger algorithm that I can look at just analyzing it daily with my electrochemical computer between my ears and see that they're losing credibility That's why I'm saying it's such a dangerous strategy. This is how I would destroy Western power. This is how I would bring down the West, what they're doing right now. Just openly losing the moral high ground, bleeding out in front of everyone. What do you think the grand strategy is? It's really, in the end game, to take over the world using Western muscle, then demonize us in the process, bring us down for the formation of the world government on its ashes.
I think so. I would speculate a more concrete plan underneath that is that the petrodollar has to remain dominant. And so I think that's part of the end objectives here is to make sure that we don't lose the status of the U.S. dollar as a reserve currency.
Our government is so criminal that the borders are wide open, that citizens are being harassed when they get on airplanes, but the illegals can fly without IDs. It's clearly a criminal takeover. Anybody could see that. And even if people are awake, they just have this attitude of fatalism. What are you going to do about it? Let's just go along with it. But Thomas Jefferson said the level of tyranny you live under is the exact level you'll put up with. So you understand the sky is the limit because we don't have any limits. We'll put up with anything. And it's seen as abnormal to be freaked out about Obama just up there on TV lying at levels that make Bill Clinton look like a saint. It's just a wall of lies. How do you even respond to it? I see the grand strategy. It's just completely set the precedent where everything is turned upside down and 2 + 2 = 7. Just whatever they want it to. I know I keep talking about that and harping on it. It's because it's just, that's what it is. It's just, we're here. It's such a joke. Everyone is in peril. We're all in danger. Richard in Arizona, you want to talk about Ebola, the Cali drought, and more, that's fine. I'm more than happy to do that, but I wanted to, when I open the phones up, I don't really screen calls, but I said I want to get your take on funding Al-Qaeda and Obama's speech. So really nobody even called in about that. But that's okay. Richard, you want to talk about Ebola? That's pretty darn important. It is becoming a really bad epidemic. Go ahead.
All right, Alex, I don't mean to be off topic here. I've been trying to reach you on this for a long time.
It's all right, brother. You're on the air. Go ahead. I just noticed nobody's calling in on it. Go ahead.
Thank you. I really appreciate you. And let me just say that I know you don't need more work to do, more to cover, but I have to mention 2 stories that are being totally covered up and ignored by all the media that I've seen so far and that are really critical. 2 topics. One is Ebola, and the thing about Ebola is that the government has already proven a substance that will kill it in their own studies. And they're not only covering it up, but they're blocking private shipments of this material to Africa. And it's clear that the reason they're doing that is so that the planned epidemic can run its course.
Well, I know that it's about 93% death if you don't get the right medical treatment. 50% is fatal, generally, from what I've read, if you don't get proper hospital attention. So there's a lot of things that mitigate it. Are you saying there's a cure for Ebola?
Not exactly. I want to be really precise. And then there's one other point I want to make real quick.
All right, well, since people don't know what it is, what is it? What is it?
Their own study, the government did the study with 10 part per million nano-sized silver particles. Oh,
I knew that. Sure. I've seen the studies that that nano silver and colloidal silver period has had a big effect on it. I mean, look, the old timers put silver dollars in milk to keep it good down in the root cellar. People put silver dollars on babies' chests and stomachs when they were born. Everybody knows silver is an antibiotic and an antiviral. And you're absolutely right. What was your other point?
Yeah, this was done within the DOD department and totally silenced. And the other thing is the California drought, which threatens the lives of everybody in the country right now and is part of the overall war that Al-Qaeda is also part of against humanity. That was entirely engineered, and I have detailed information on that.
Well, you should write an article about it. I mean, if people write articles with a bibliography with proof, we'll publish them to Infowars.com. Send them to Show Tips. send them to writers@infowars.com. And our great people like Kurt Nimmo and others will fact check it. Kurt's really good about that. That's really where he excels, is proofreading other people's stories and approving them or not approving them. We'd love for you to point us in that direction. I'm aware of the studies on silver and Ebola and other issues, bacteria and viruses. I'm aware of all sorts of information on that front. And one reason they don't want to use things like silver on bacteria and viruses is because anybody can put out good silver pretty much. So you don't get a Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation vaccine out of that with Monsanto in a partnership. You don't get to vaccinate the world, make $100 billion over a decade on it, and then put Lord knows what as a Trojan horse on top of it. So send us the info, sir, or send us an email with leads, and we will look into it. Alex Jones here for Infowars.com. We're going to be intensifying our efforts to awaken free humanity to the scourge of the globalist in the month of July. And starting this July 4th, we are going to slash prices in a celebration of true Americana, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and the Declaration of Independence on all of the Made in America products that you will find at madein1776.com or InfoWarsStore.com. We're talking about Made in America belt buckles in brass and nickeled brass that state it loud and proud. Molon Labe. That's why we have the best-selling Made in America men's and women's Molon Labe Infowars.com shirts. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a win-win. You vote with your dollars. You support the most hardcore organization out there for promoting true ideas of libertarianism, constitutionalism, basic human empowerment. But more importantly, you get T-shirts and belt buckles so you can meet like-minded people. So you have a conversation starter with friends and family and coworkers. We are reaching out to each other. And you also throw it in the face of the anti-gunners and the rest of the parasites out there that you're a free man and woman, and that you're not going to be a slave, that you're not going to be intimidated to shut up by their tyranny that they call political correctness. That's why in the month of July, we have got giant specials on everything at madein1776.com. But to expand the InfoWar, we're offering the biggest special in the history, 13 years of PrisonPlanet.tv, our multimedia platform. We're offering the equivalent of more than 5 months free right now when you get a membership at PrisonPlanet.tv, and you get 11 memberships that can be used with the same username and passcode so you can share it with friends and family. Now is the time to fund the war bonds. Now is the time to fund the InfoWar. Now is the time to get aggressive. Now is the time to double down. Now is the time to realize you are the people that made the InfoWar so successful and one of the leading lights worldwide against tyranny. You don't stand behind us, you stand right beside us, and I salute all of you on this July 4th, 2014, and going forward in the month of July and onward. This is about freedom worldwide and that desire for human dignity and self-determination that beats in the human breast. We are brothers and sisters together in the true spirit of liberty and the animating contest of liberty. And so I quote in closing the great Thomas Jefferson that I have sworn on the altar of God resistance against every form of tyranny. And never forget, if you are watching or listening to this transmission, you are the resistance.